We're going to get started. We're going to daven a quick Mariv and do Havdalah so that we can get to our main attraction, which is Naomi Ackerman and the ADVOT project. So here we go. In Siddur Lev Shalem, we are on page 264. והוא רחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחית והרבה להשיב אפו ולא יאיר כל חמתו אדוני הושיע המלך יעננו ביום קוראנו ברכו את אדוני המבורך ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בדברו מעריב הרבים וחוכמה פותח שערים ובתבונה משנא עתים ומחליף בזמנים ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, מבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב הרבים. אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת, תורה מצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת, על כן אדוני אלוהינו משופטנו וכמן נעשה בחוק ופלסמך. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך וים שמוע תשמעו מצוותיי אשר אנוכי מצווה אתכם היום לעבוד בכל לבבכם ובשכנתי בתרצכם וגם תפתם המצור פתח ובישורך ויבוא ביום הרב אשר לעבוד למדתי סגרה עשיתם וכל מצוותיי אדוני אלוהיכם אמן ואמונה כל זאת וקיים עלינו כי הוא אדוני אלוהינו לעולם צבאתו ואנחנו ישראל עמו פפתנו מיד מלאכים עמו לכף הרמיצים האלווים ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל לך אנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף אלה מלכותך רע ובניך בוקר ים לפני משה זה עלינו ואמרו אדוני מלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום בביתנו מלכנו לחיים ופרוס עלינו סוכות שלומך ודפנו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו כן בעדנו בעשר ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני שומר עמו ישראל לעד. 269. יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה בעלמא דברה קירותי והמליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב במהרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה. ברכו לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו amen. I invite you to rise as we daven the Amidah privately, beginning on page 270, remembering the special paragraph on 272 for the end of Shabbat. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמא דברה קירותי והמליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב במהרה אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה. ברכו לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא במהרו אמן. תקבל צלותהון ובטחון תכל ישראל כל דם אבהון דבשמיא במהרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיא וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל במהרה אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל במהרה אמן. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית שלא עשינו כגויי הארצות ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה שלא שם חלקנו כעם וגורלנו כל עמלם ואנחנו קוראינו בשבח הקדוש ברוך הוא שהונו דשמיים לארץ משה בקרום השמיים ממעם שתעשו בגב הרמנו ממעו אלוהינו אילון מלכנו לתסולתו כתבתו בתורתו בידעת היום ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו echad. We'll pause. We're on page 282, and we'll say Kaddish. If you are in mourning or observing in the yahrzeit, I invite you to remain standing. We'll join together for Kaddish Yatom. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabba be'alma divra kirute ve'amlich malchute b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael Bagalo vizman kariv vimiru. Amen. Yehe shemei rabba mevarach la'olam u'la'amei almaya. Yit barach v'yish tabach v'yit pa'ar v'yitromam v'yit naseh. V'yit adar v'yit alev v'yit halal shemei d'kudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechamata. Damiran b'alama v'imiru. Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'miru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'miru. Amen. I'm going to grab a lighter.
So there's a midrash, a rabbinic legend, that Adam and Eve created at the very end of the sixth day, just before the start of Shabbat, come into the world, and then immediately, like any newborn, fall right to sleep. They fall to sleep and they miss the entire night, and by the time they open their eyes, it's dawn. They weren't aware of the passage of those first few hours. But as the next day creeps along, as the Shabbat day creeps along, and the sun moves across the sky and then comes to the horizon and starts to dip below it as the shadows start to lengthen, these two brand new people in the world look at each other in terror. The world is unmaking itself. The dream of the last day in the garden is apparently a short-lived one. They hug each other as it gets darker and wait for the end. And at that moment, the Midrash says, God opens Adam's eyes, but I believe it was more likely Eve's. And down she looks and notices two flints laying on the ground. And she picks them up and she starts to bang them together. Bang, bang, bang. And off of those flints come sparks. And the sparks push back a little bit of the darkness, and so they bang them together harder and harder, and all of a sudden, there's a flame. And that darkness, that world unmaking itself, retreats. And they sit huddled around the flame all night long, that first night of awareness of their life, until the dawn comes again. 5782 was maybe a little bit less of a dark year than the 2 years that came before it, but only by degrees. And for many of us, just as hard or harder. There's a lot of reason to feel the world unmaking itself. The darkness closing in. A sense of panic about what's to come. And so we bang together the flints that we can find. We kick off the sparks that we're able to make. We light something, and here the Havdalah candle is the joining together of multiple wicks, of multiple flames to make something big and bright enough to actually push back the darkness, to push back the dread, to light our way. As we come into the last week of this year, we come together to push back the darkness and open up some new light of possibility. We'll make Havdalah together, celebrate the end of this Shabbat, and then transition to hearing from a friend and a new friend who are incredible teachers in the world of what it is to shine a light where it might seem to be dark. I invite you to stand up if you're comfortable, to put your arm on somebody you either know or don't know so well, only if you're comfortable, but to be connected as we start Havdalah together.
Luis, can we turn the lights off?
הנני אל ישועתי, אבטח ולא אבחן, כי עוזי וזמרת יד אדוני, ויהי לי לישועה. ושבתם מים בששון ממעייני הישועה, לאדוני הישועה, למך ברכתך סלע. אדוני צבאות עמנו, משגב לנו אלוהי יעקב סלע. אדוני צבאות אשרי אדם בוטח בך, אדוני הושיע מלך יעננו ביום קורנו. ליהודים הייתה רע ושמחה וששון בעיקר, כן תהיה לנו כוס ישועות עשיו שם אדוני יקרא. מלך העולם
Shavua Tov. We can turn the lights on. Thank you. Thank you, Louise.
You can take your seats. One of the many benefits of now being a pulpit rabbi is I've got a place that I get to bring some of the most remarkable people who I've had the opportunity to know to come and speak with the community. I know that is a well-trodden path. Rabbi Spitz brought incredible people to this community, and I'm excited to continue in that legacy. I want to share a little bit of Naomi's biography so you can know a little bit about who you're going to hear from this evening. Naomi Ackerman is the founder and executive director of the ADVOT project, and she's an actress, consultant, and facilitator, creating curricula that use drama to deal with social, gender, and educational issues, as well as exploring identity and promoting tolerance and dialogue between diverse participants. Naomi is a social activist who produces events and gatherings that teach, engage, and call to action communities and individuals to take a stand and to fight injustice. She served 2 years in the IDF and received a BA in Education and Theater from Hebrew University, as well as a special ed teaching credential from the David Yellen Teacher Seminar. Naomi wrote, directed, and performed an incredible, and I hope that we'll have it here at some point, an incredible one-woman show, Flowers Aren't Enough, which deals with issues of domestic violence and has been featured over 1,900 times globally and translated into 4 different languages, including for the UN Commission for the Status of Women. Naomi is a recipient of the KCET Link Local Hero Award and the 2016 International Women Achievers Community Leadership Award. She is an extraordinary teacher, an extraordinary visionary, somebody who takes great ideas and births them into reality. And one of those beautiful ideas is the ADVOT project, the Ripples project. I'm so excited for you to share with all of us the incredible work you do. I'm so excited that you brought Merced along to add to and enrich the story. As we come into this Slichot night thinking about tshuva and the possibility of change, I can really think of no better teacher to lead us into this important, deep, reflective work than you, my friend.
Hi, everyone. I hope you know how insanely lucky you are to have Rabbi Adam, how angry we are in Los Angeles that you took him from us, and it's rare when your colleagues are your friends, and when your friends you can admire. He is one of the most wicked teachers, teaches brilliant Torah, and I'm really jealous that you are going to get to be with him every weekend and on the Chagim. We miss you deeply at Ikar. It wasn't so far of a drive. There wasn't that much traffic. And the good news about Adam is that you get Anne. So, right? So, multiple layers of friendship and life together, which I'm not going to get into right now. But hello, everybody. Shavua Tov. I am a maven and believer in interactive. I'm a theater person, and this is where everybody's like, don't do this. So we're going to start with something, because we've already been sitting for a little bit. So we'll start with something really easy. I can see she's like, don't make me do anything. But it's really easy. Put your hands near your ears, just like this. Just going to center us a little bit before you hear about what I do. So you're here, not on your ears, on the side, and it's not here. It's over here. And I'm going to put your hands down for 1 second. I just want to share with you, this is my friend and colleague, Carrie. If she's not filming you guys, when you hear more of Merced's story, you'll know why we're filming, because we're making a documentary film about this amazing journey we've been in, and I wanted this evening to be filmed. So if someone, do not, although you are all beautiful, you're not in the movie, sorry. But so if you feel uncomfortable, or if it's making you uncomfortable, you can just raise your hand and Carrie will not, your faces will not be in it. This is just kind of documenting where we're going together. So just wanted to make that clear so you know that It's not going on BBC Tomorrow or Fox News or wherever. Okay, back to our hands. Bring our hands over here. And we're going to do a really easy exercise. I'm just going like this, okay? And you're going to keep your eyes open. You are going to smile. You should breathe, because that would be really sad if you didn't. And we're going to do 1 minute. And sometimes a minute seems like a long time. Sometimes it means like no time. And now when you're doing this, you're going to be like, damn, I got to go to the gym and work on my arms because it's not doing so well. But keep doing this. I'm going to move one of my hands because I need to look at my watch. Keep going. Don't stop. Don't stop. It's crazy how hard this is for 1 minute. Keep going. Keep breathing. Use your eyes. Keep smiling, because that's always important. A few more seconds. Keep going. I'm watching that watch. I'm looking at it. Keep going. And this is when you're like, I should go to the gym, right? Keep going. It's 1 minute. Isn't 1 minute a really long time? Keep it, keep it, keep it. Okay, 20 more seconds. 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just bring them forward. Shavua Tov. All right. So I love slichot. And you know why I love slichot? Because it's not slicha. It's not like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like, I'm so sorry. It's many sorries. Slicha, 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 right? I grew up in Israel, so it's slichot. But I think that sorry is really an invitation to change, right? So we're going to, I know this is like I said, one exercise, one more exercise. We're going to pass an index cards around. And I want everybody to write, not your name, one thing you want to change this year. Because I'm in the business of change. Da, da, da. And we have so many notions about change and what change needs to look like, how fast it has to happen, this command to be the change. So no judgment, no comparing and despairing. You want to exercise more? That's fine. You want to talk to someone you didn't, I can't tell you what you want to change, but I want you each to write on the index card, and you're not going to have to read it. We're going to collect it, and at the end of this evening, I'm going to go through them really fast. And I do this every time I do slichot, and every year I do slichot somewhere else. Not as amazing in this place, of course. And it's so humbling to see how many things we have in common that we want to change, and how many things are so simple. Because what people forget, that change is actually really simple. Super, super hard, super, super slow, but super simple. So while the pens are going to be handed out and while you're writing, I'm going to start talking a little bit, and then we're going to collect these index cards. And don't get bent out of shape. It's nothing heroic. You do not need to, change climate change or end homelessness. This is in your life. Here in Orange County, that was not such a far drive, that is near Disneyland. What do you want to change this year in your life? So as Adam read in my illustrious bio, about 25 or 28 years ago, I was commissioned in Jerusalem to write a one-woman show. Keep writing. You can listen and write. Right, and then, Anne, if you can collect it afterwards, that also would be great. So I was commissioned in Jerusalem to write a one-woman show called Flowers Aren't Enough. And I've been performing it globally ever since. And what the relevance to the ADVOT project is I had the great fortune to perform in high schools and then in colleges and meet the same people who had seen the show in various different places. I know you're thinking and you're listening at the same time, and that's okay. So I'm in Northern California performing, and a young woman comes up to me and she says, I saw you a few years ago performing in my high school. And I said, that's great. And she said, but I had to come see you here because I wanted to talk to you. And I said, okay. And she said, Naomi, I watched your show, and I didn't really remember it, but fast forward, I came to college here, and I got into an abusive relationship like the one that you portrayed in your play. And I was in the Jewish sorority, I was dating a Jewish guy, and, he started to comment on what I was wearing, he was commenting on who I was hanging out with, and it got very violent, and he really was horrible to me. And one night I was lying in bed, and I remembered what you said to us at that play. And one thing I always say, particularly to youth, is you are the gatekeeper of your self-worth. You are the gatekeeper of your self-worth. She said, I was lying in bed. I really didn't remember your name. I didn't remember the name of the show. I just remembered you are the gatekeeper of your self-worth. And the next morning, I got up and I went to the counseling center on campus and I got some help and I left the guy. And I was like, that's amazing, wonderful. And she says, hold on. I said, okay. He started dating someone in my sorority. And I told her, he's no good. He has really big demons. You need to be careful. But she didn't listen to me. And he killed her 3 months later. And I took that, and I would say that from Northern California to Los Angeles, I cried the whole way home. And I said, this is not enough. And it's really never enough. You know, you start doing change and this is not enough. What can I do? What can I do? How can I do more? How can we make, and that's when the ripples, how can we make this ripple of this play be broader? How can we make change? How can we talk about relationships and about healthy relationships? How can we take this thing called theater that I love, and how can I make it something more dynamic? So I came back to LA and I partnered with a domestic violence agency, and we created a curriculum that at the time was called Relationships 101, but throughout the years turned into Listen, Act, Change. Because when we are in relationships and we're communicating, actually the most important thing is to listen. Then we can take action, and then we can change. And we started implementing this curriculum in high schools. And one of the high school, and we had a grant, the money ran out. And they said, oh, you're Jewish. The county supervisor is Jewish. You should go to him. He'll give you money. Well, they were right that he gave me money, but not to come back to their high school. And this county supervisor said to me, how would you like going into the LA County lockup facilities? And I said, I would love to do that, because youth who have grown up with no role models, youth who have grown up neglected, or youth who have grown up not feeling worthy, they need relationship advice and help more than anything. And they need to learn how to communicate, because so many of them, when they're picked up by the police, actually get themselves in more trouble by miscommunicating. And I had the great privilege to start a journey that really changed my life and found the ADVOT project, and the word ADVOT means ripples in Hebrew, the Ripple Project, and stepping into a place that I never thought I would be in, and being profoundly, profoundly changed by it. So throughout this evening, I'm going to share some videos of our work, and so that you can really see and get a sense of what I'm talking about. So I want to start, I don't know where he is, the IT guy? Hi. This is the second video that says change, so it's number 2, okay? I hope that it's big enough for you to see, and here we are. We're gonna move this. Can you guys over here see the screen?
In a single year, an estimated 2.1 million youth under the age of 18 are arrested in the United States. And on any given day, more than 50,000 of those minors are detained in juvenile detention facilities across the country. They are charged with crimes that vary from serious offenses, petty theft, being at the wrong place at the wrong time, or social services simply having nowhere else to send them. So they are sent here, to juvie.
We are at Camp Scudder. We're on the walkway to the dorm from the office. It's chaotic at times.
What goes on behind these walls has a stigma of being something terrible. And terrible it can be. That is why there must be rules in place, bills passed, and an engaged community that pays attention, takes care, and is on guard. Because if we take freedom away from minors, even for a brief moment in time, we must make sure to give them resources and programs like the ADVOT project.
This isn't about having regrets. It's about learning from choices we made how to make a better choice.
Programs that will teach them, help them, support them, and ultimately enable them to make changes in their lives.
Today I am.
Today I am beautiful.
The youth who are detained are fed, go to school, and are safe. But it is vital to also give them opportunities to rehabilitate, tools to transform. Because as crazy as it may sound, it is in these facilities where change can begin to happen. So that when they leave, not only do they survive, they begin to thrive. Now, what does this mean for you and me? Why are we saying all this? Because as much as we want and are starting to lower that 2.1 million number, we would like to invite you to play another role.
My plan is to go back to school, get my high school diploma.
I hope to be a singer, a model, and an actress.
I want to produce.
I want to be a parole officer.
And then my plan is to go to independent living, and I'm gonna go to college.
My plan was to be a veterinarian.
When they are released, we can greet them with support, opportunities, guidance, and grace.
In the future, I hope to see in the mirror.
You see, this is not about giving a second chance. It's about giving the first chance they never had. And if and when we do that, the impossible can definitely be made possible.
So in LA County, we have right now about 10 lockup facilities for youth. We have something that's called halls, where they're detained until their sentence. And then we have something called camps, which is kind of like a summer camp or an army camp where they are detained. And what happens in these camps and in these halls is really not wonderful. And I can say that our governor is working really hard to create a reform, to create change, so that we are being less punitive and more rehabilitated, more oriented in rehabilitation, and that we're working more on taking care of these kids as opposed to punishing them for acts that they did because they were hurt or because they weren't taken care of or because no one was watching. We're very quick to judge. We're very quick to say they're bad, to put labels. And I can tell you that I've spent the last 12 years meeting the most extraordinary young men and women. I've spent the last 12 years behind the walls meeting young people who have dreams and hopes and desires, just like your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews, but life has dealt them a really, really horrible deck of cards. And I want to repeat something that I say in the video. People always talk about second chances, and that's really obnoxious of us to say that because there was never a first chance. And a lot of times I advocate for youth to get out and I try to help them get jobs, and everybody feels so good because they're giving them a job, right? Oh, we're going to give them the second chance. I'm like, no, actually you're giving them the first chance that they never had. So this curriculum, Listen, Act, Change, takes theater that I love, takes interactive exercises, like I kind of made you guys do, and everybody's kind of like, right? But theater is pretty amazing, and brings together a conversation about how do we communicate better? How do I use an I sentence? How do I advocate for myself? And I want to make something really, really clear. I don't change anybody's life. These youth, and you will have the privilege of meeting one of my favorite ones who's here with me today, they change their lives. And we should not think that we have that power. We have the tools, we have the means to support, and that's what we should be doing. And most of all, I come into these these places and these spaces. And I know that one of my biggest heroes, Father, I think G spoke to you guys last year at Slichot, right? Right? So that's pretty awesome that I'm coming after him. Just going to say that right here. Right. But we partner, and Homeboy is a very, very close partner of ours, because when kids come out, we send them there. And we work very closely with them on the tattoo removals, and he has so many stories, and he's brilliant and one of my mentors, and I love him dearly. But it's really, again, back to the story that young Jewish woman spoke about. I am the gatekeeper of my self-worth. Well, the youth that we work with behind the walls, they need to be told, you have self-worth. You are so worthy to go to college, to have a life, to be seen, to be heard. You know, Father G talks a lot about stepping into the margins. And it's our job to do that. It's our job not just to stand from the side, but to say, I'm here, I see you, tell me your story. So the next video is a little bit of a deeper dive for you to see more of the work. And I want you to pay attention to the girl who's speaking, because actually the woman who's filmed her inside the lockup facility 8 years ago, or 10. We celebrated Merced's 15th birthday together inside the walls, and on this Saturday, she is going to be 24 years old. So it's been a journey. And just so you know, change does not happen overnight. It is not fast. It's beautiful, but it's slow. It's dirty. It's actually when the cameras aren't watching. And it's showing up and being present all the time. So I want to share with you this next video, and then I will bring Merced up to talk a little bit, okay? So this is the other video, the first one.
Right now, in this moment, tell me who you are.
I am a new me. I was lost, angry, and depressed. I am now a child of God, but I am still on a lifelong journey. I am found, but I am still confused, but I will find my way. I've been hurt and I've blamed people. They may have been the cause of my pain, but I am the boss of my own actions. I am humble, I am smart, and I will make it.
It's really about honing in on being worthy. Not only are you worthy, you are the gatekeeper of your self-worth. Because that's the key also to moving forward. Because if you're not going to believe that you can go to college and get a job and have a real life and get off the streets and not be part of the gang, then who is?
All I want is to do something good. Like, I don't want to do bad, and I know that I made mistakes, but everybody makes mistakes too, and I can recognize them.
So the ADVOT project, the Ripples project, is using theater and the arts to create a ripple effect of change. That you can make things better by talking about them, about acting them out, and about playing. And I very, very much believe that any serious topic that we take and we play and we improv and we look at it and we act it out, we can make it better.
My name's Officer Kip and you're Officer Tripp. In Relationship 101, you get to act, like you just get to do stuff. It's something to look forward to. I look forward to doing it.
I'm ready because I'm me. Nice!
And it helps me improve my self-esteem too, because it doesn't make me feel like I'm nothing, like what other people say. It makes me feel like I'm actually somebody. Maybe not somebody famous, but somebody important.
No one ever says anything to them. You're great. You're beautiful. You have a chance. You can be somebody.
I am beautiful! 2, I am amazing! 3, I am worthy!
It's awesome to have people like this who don't judge you, who don't ask you, what did you do, or define me by a case or a charge. I don't feel like I'm detained. I feel like I'm on the outs, went to a program on a Thursday.
I hope that society will have the fortune of seeing what I've seen. That these girls are loyal, that they're caring, that they're young, that they have potential, that they show remorse, that they're scared, that they don't have guidance, that they don't have role models, that they're struggling to just figure out who they are, then maybe we'll have more compassion for them. And maybe we'll be more forgiving. And I'm not saying that they need to be forgiven for the crime that they committed. They need to be forgiven so that they can have a future.
We are beautiful! We are amazing! We are strong!
So 10 years ago, it was just me, schlepping with my bag of tricks to Camp Scudder up in Santa Clarita. Today, actually in a month, we're celebrating our 12th year in a big celebration at Kirk Douglas Theater. I've trained 8 people to do what I do. We are in 6 different facilities. We have 20 groups a week. We also realize that just working with the girls is not really fair or right, because we need to serve both sides. And we also moved outside the walls. We're in community centers. We have classes at Homeboy, because the sooner and the wider we can teach communication skills and empower youth to be their own advocates, the better this world will be. And I remember, and Merced, I'm going to put you on the spot for a second. So Merced didn't really love my program, and it's actually quite interesting that she's my favorite person 10 years later, and life is interesting that way. Change happens in the most unexpected places. Typically, in our program, the program is 15 weeks. Youth are on good behavior because they're kind of threatened, like you need to behave to go to ADVOT, and then they behave, and then they're exited on early release. So Merced, who was very quiet and sweet and wonderful, and still is, she wasn't getting early release, and I said, Merced, why are you still here? Not that I didn't want you to be here, but why are you still here? And she shared with me that when the judge asked her about her behavior, her lawyer shushed her. She had wanted to respond, and the lawyer said, shh, which to me was devastating. And I said, well, don't let him do that. You should be getting out. And I should have shut up, because then she obviously did speak up and she got out, and she wasn't at the culmination, but so be it. That was better, right? And she got out. Fast forward, and I'm going to let Merced share her story. I have had the great privilege to stand at her high school graduation. I have had the great privilege to see her stand up in front of a different judge and fight for custody of her half-sister. I have had the great privilege of watching her enroll to college and support her in that journey. So it is my honor to invite Merced Velez to come and share part of her story with you tonight.
Hi, everybody. I'm sorry. I always kind of get a little tongue-tied talking. It's a pleasure to be out here with you guys and celebrate this day with you guys. I really don't know where to start. Looking back at that video was a little hard for me, because I think about how difficult life is now. But I realize I've come so far, and sometimes it's hard to see how far I've gone. And that was just kind of a little reminder of, you're in a better place and you're doing well. My life currently is a little hectic. I do go to school full-time and I work full-time. And I am the parent of my sister as well. So life is very heavy, but this was a very, very nice reminder to keep pushing forward. I am the middle child. I was brought here as a young child by my mother, who was a migrant. We grew up in the streets of Los Angeles, and my mother was a single mother, and she was raising 3 children. So she didn't have a lot of time on her hands. She worked 2 jobs, and there were some weeks we didn't see her. It just became easier for me to kind of just be on the streets and feel more comfort there. And that's where it started, where at the age of 12, I was already on the streets with gangs, and I wouldn't come home, and I was just a lost child. I wanted to feel like I belonged, and I felt that way over there. And it got really bad to a situation where criminal activity started getting involved, and I was incarcerated when I was 13, and I was put on probation for the next 2 years. Unfortunately, that didn't make things better for me. It just allowed me to be more around people who were in the same space that I was in. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm sorry. Things just didn't get better. And then a year later, I was locked up in the juvenile house in Camp Scudder. Being in there was difficult. The tension, the sadness, the real awakening that I've experienced in there was like no other. I didn't really know what prostitutes were, and when I was in juvenile, I found out that a lot of my cellmates were prostitutes. I didn't know that there was already big gang leaders inside at such a young age. It was really insane for me, and I was the youngest one there, so I kind of had to stay quiet and low because it was dangerous. It was just definitely a scary moment, and it was very sad to see that my mother struggled to come and see me in that place. It was just a dark moment, but in that dark moment, I was fortunate enough to have my light, which was Naomi. I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know how to speak well. I didn't know how to complete sentences. I didn't even have basic vocabulary. But once I met Naomi, I started to realize that if I let people know how I was feeling or what I needed, things were easier. I didn't have to be aggressive. I didn't have to see everybody as a threat. And people stopped seeing me as a threat. That was the first time I've learned how to ask for something. The first time I was able to say thank you to somebody and really mean it and appreciate the person and let them know that I appreciated them, which is always the hardest thing, I think, for all of us, is to really let people know how much we appreciate them. Inside our program, it was hectic too. There was unfortunately a lot of gang and racial tension, but when we were in Naomi's group, that tension had to be out the window, or else she wouldn't continue on the program. And a lot of us looked forward to that program because it was the only time where we didn't feel like criminals. And we all cooperated, and in that space, nobody was part of any gang, nobody was any color. We were all equals, and we all treated each other equally. And it's actually kind of fascinating because I look back at it, and the racial tension there was really high, but inside there, it was just a moment of peace where we all got along very well. And I wish I would have finished the program and seen the finished product and seen what beautiful performances like my colleagues did, but I didn't. But I was fortunate to be able to get an early release. I was locked up for 9 months. I was supposed to stay there for another 3 months, but I got out early on good behavior. I told my parole officer, I want to continue school, I want to do something. And he believed me, and I was able to get out on early release. Getting my life together was really hard afterwards. I had to separate myself from the gangs, and that wasn't easy because I didn't fit into the good kid form, and I didn't fit into my other groups, so it was really lonely. I ate a lot of my lunches in the restroom. I just didn't have any friends for a long time, but I had to keep myself focused on what I wanted in life, and that was a lonely path. But it was definitely worth a while. In this lonely path, unfortunately, a year after I got out of juvenile and I graduated, my mother passed away. And that was a hurdle I never seen coming. After that time had passed, my sister, who was only 3 at the time, her father wasn't such a good person, and I had to fight for her custody. I quickly had to learn how to present myself in court and how to be a parent to her at the same time and keep her safe. That was difficult. We lost the first time, but on the second time we were able to win custody, and I'm so happy that from that day going forward I've been able to keep her safe and happy. Going forward, I went into college and I started at a community college. And college was something I never thought I would go to. I didn't even know what college was, to be honest. And so
First person in her family to go to college.
I am first generation. I had no idea what college was. I only found out later on because I had her in my life. But I didn't know we had to go to school after high school. And I didn't know that we had the opportunity to have careers. I just thought we had to get a job and provide for our families. And I went into school, and my first 2 years sucked. I was kind of trying to get into the mental of having a job and working, and my sister was still young, so I still needed to be very present. And I failed my first 2 semesters. But that served as a well-learned lesson for me. I knew what I lacked, so I improved what I lacked. And in 2.5 years, I transferred to Cal Poly Pomona, and now I have an year left to graduate. So, thank you. It's been a long journey.
I want to just interject that I love that Merced keeps giving me credit. There are many, many people who are part of this journey, many people that were part of the Ripple who stepped up. As you all know, Adam came from a community called ICAR that I am a member of, and it's an unbelievable community that when I put something on Facebook, I need this, I need that, people step up, they drop things at my office. It's really about everybody doing what they can. I'm going to embarrass Carrie, who's somewhere with the camera. Carrie filmed Merced, so I'm going to give you an example of what change in action looks like. Carrie filmed Merced. It's 10 years ago. She was a beginning filmmaker. When we premiered the film, we went somewhere in Malibu. We were showing the film. And on the way back, Carrie heard that Merced needed help in high school. I didn't even know this. I found this out like years later. Very quietly, this amazing filmmaker, who is just a student herself at, the university, Pepperdine, twice a week, went to Whittier to tutor Merced in math.
That's how I passed my math class. I really wasn't good at math.
It's not just money. It's not hours and hours. It's not some crazy talent. What you have in your back pocket, someone else doesn't have. Every single person sitting here has so much they can give to someone else. So get that kind of rippling in your head. It's really no heroics. Just think about what could you give? What do you have that someone else might need? And look. I am in awe every day. I definitely could not help her in math, so I got nothing to do with that. But just saying. So continue, Merced.
I'm sorry, but it's been a difficult journey. I've never thought I could have the education level I do now, but I do, and I love it, and I love learning, and I love being in this part of my life, no matter how difficult and hectic it is. And I appreciate being here with you guys and seeing you guys, how you guys interact as a community. it ailed me. And in the crazy, hectic life I have, I sometimes lose that out of touch. And I want to thank you guys for bringing that kind of peace that I needed in this crazy life that I have. But it's been a long journey, and I am truly grateful to be here and speak to you guys. And hopefully, moving forward, I will have something more to show and make something out of myself to make this world a better place and help those that also need help as well. But that's pretty much my story. I wish I would have told it more in detail or in a better way, but I just get really nervous.
Why don't we, so we've done this before. I'd like to if someone wants to ask a question. We shared, I didn't have to work on that one.
I have a double major, so I have an associate's in math and sciences, but I also have, I'm working on my bachelor's in philosophy of political and society economics. I did want to do engineering, but because I did the mathematics later, it would take me a longer time. And financially, I just can't support that. But I did want to major in mechanical engineering.
So what's your dream? Where do you want to be in 10 years?
I want to be able to be in a good, first of all, I want to be in a good economical standing. I want to be able to take my family out of poverty. And I want to have created a space where everybody is, who is struggling can come and ask for help. Because I know that that's what I needed. I needed help. And if I had gotten that help sooner, maybe things would have turned out different. So that's what I know what I want to do. I don't know how that would look like, but I know that that's something that in my heart I want to do. I also am just really big in environmental stuff, so hopefully I help the world in that way too.
She didn't get that from me either, just saying.
You guys can ask me anything, like how life was, or...
If you don't mind answering this, I'm wondering how old your sister is and how this program is kind of rippling down to her.
She is 9, and it's insane. It really is. I feel like in a way, having me be educated has allowed her to see the importance of education at such an early age. She is playing the violin now, and she loves school, and she's such a mature child. I sometimes feel sad that that's the case, because I know that it's because of the hardships, but I do know that it allows her foresight, like future sight of what she wants and how to respect people and the importance of being educated.
We hear so much in Judaism, you know, I think it's from Pirkei Avot, of you change one life, you change the world. And I grew up hearing that in synagogue and maybe even saying it or walking around in camp and seeing it. And now I have the privilege of actually seeing what that looks like. One person in a family starts to get an education, everything changes because it's a possibility, because it can happen, because education is important. And I'm going to say again, because I am such a believer and change practitioner, that it's not heroic, it's really the small moments, and it's the everyday, and it's what can I do from my back pocket to give to someone else. Because one person is making such a ripple effect of change in her whole family, of what's possible, of what's out there, what is in reach. And I know her sister, and I've also sat at meals where Merced is like telling everybody how they have to go to college, which I love. And kind of like, yeah, you need to go to college, and you need to go to college. So, you know, just put that also in your head. Yes?
What advice would you give other students from the hall who, like a lot of them will end up back in the hall? So what advice would you give them to prevent them from being distracted by all the temptations of
I would
their
say,
previous life?
Do you want to continue living like this? And I've seen that phrase, unfortunately, I've used it many times, and sometimes it goes well and sometimes it doesn't. I think that me always saying that to them, though, makes them think about what's going on. And if I already gave them that space, gave them that trail of thought, then I think that allows them already to start seeing things differently. Because I think with at least a lot of people with similar experiences to me, people in the halls, they're just sad. They're just angry. It's just, I live in poverty. I can't eat. Where's my mother? Where's my father? It's always like, why me? Or this is all I know. And I've met people who've tried giving that first chance, and then people need a second chance. It's not just that first chance, but sometimes people need a second chance, and at that second chance is when they finally make it, and sometimes they don't. So it's just, I feel like just me saying that to them allows them to think.
I think one of the things I so admire about Homeboy, and I've learned this from G, is that you can always come back. There's also this expectation a lot of times, and in discussions like this, like, well, we did this and this and that, and then they did this and this and that. And I'll be like, so what? It's not over when you helped once and a person who is experiencing poverty or experiencing homelessness does something that we didn't expect, or we didn't want, or we thought wouldn't happen, or dropped out of high school, or dropped out of college, or committed a crime again. Stepping out of poverty, stepping out of homelessness is really hard. And you're right, that going back is really hard. And our job is to be constant and say, we're here. You can come back. You can make a mistake. Because God knows I wouldn't want someone to rub my mistake in my face all the time. We all make mistakes. We just, maybe they're not as severe because our background isn't severe. Maybe we didn't get caught in the really severe one. You know, think about that. But, right? So I'm just saying that there's this expectation, and I see this a lot with people who support ADVOT. You know, well, you know, but they didn't. And I'm like, so what? That's not our job to be the judges. There's one judge, not us. Our job is to be present, to believe, to have faith, and to understand that when you take a turn off the path, to say, hey, come back. We're here. We know it's hard. Come back. Because it's really hard. There are a bunch of hands over here, so I want to, yeah, yes. I don't know where the microphone, where the other, ooh, you're sneaky. I was going to say her, but he has it.
What do you do for work, and how do you balance that, raising your sister and going to school full time?
So I actually recently I feel really fortunate to finally been able to get a job that mentally and, you know, fuels me, and it's not something that previously I worked at a restaurant, previously I worked at a warehouse, very low-end jobs. But I've been fortunate to be hired from a law firm, and I'm a case manager now. And I just feel so lucky my bosses gave me the opportunity, but it definitely makes it more challenging, because when I used to work in a warehouse, I used to work in the mornings. I would get up around 3:30 in the morning, and then I would get off of work between 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I would have some time to be with my sister, and then I would go to school in the evening. And so that would work out, and it allowed me to be with her. But now my job is obviously a 9 to 5. And so I do the impossible, and I take classes at 8 in the morning. I take classes after work, and my sister has, again, unfortunately, but fortunately, matured and understands the importance, but also think that she just sees me struggle. And she sees me come home and just fall asleep. And I think she understands that she had a hard time before. Before, she definitely struggled to understand what I was doing. And she would have these little fights with me and tell me that I didn't love her because I wasn't around, that I wasn't wanting to be with her, that I always loved her. And it's hard to hear that because I'm not trying to leave you. I just need to do this for you and me. And so now she understands that, and it's easier for me. She's in after-school programs, so by the time I get home, she is home. And my siblings obviously help me as well, so that makes it a little bit easier. But I am her parental figure to her.
Anyone else? Do you have anyone else? Any other questions?
Do you get funding for school as far as the Cal Poly?
You could say yes, but I just don't know how they expect me to, quote unquote, go to school with the money that they give me. It just.
So we really good question. We have a scholarship fund through the ADVOT project. It's called the Franny Possibility Fund, which is actually named after my late mother, who was a social worker and just a brilliant human being. And what we try to do, it's nonprofits, we raise money for a lot of different programs, but that's one fund that we raise money so that we can help graduates of our program who are pursuing a higher education and give them a stipend for things like food and travel. And I went to college in Israel, and I don't know what the hell's up with America and books for college. I don't know what that is about. It's like ridiculous. Like you just need a scholarship to buy those books. I remember the first time when Merced started community college, and we were ADVOT was buying the books, and I actually called a friend of mine and I said, "Is this normal? That the book costs like $150? In Israel it was like 20 shekel. You bought the book at the university." So we get scholarships, or students get scholarships, or let's say tuition is paid for because you're low income. There's so many other things you need besides tuition, right? So we do many things and we try to assist with that, never enough. And, we try to partner with other organizations that do that, and it's a struggle. It's definitely a struggle, but we try.
Some days honestly, I don't have even a nickel in my pocket, but I make it through. I just have learned to be really kind of calculating every one of my expenses. It's just me and my brothers. We have to pay rent, we have to pay food, we have to pay everything. So it's not cheap. And yeah. And it's hard, but I'm staying optimistic.
Merced, with all you have going on, thank you especially for coming and speaking to us tonight. I'm really, really grateful to have you here. You were looking at yourself 9 years ago on the screen. If you could travel back to that place and that time and talk to that girl, what is it that you would want to say to her? And is there anything that you would want to ask her?
That I would ask her? Not necessarily ask, but maybe just how, you don't have that much time with mom. And some of the things you feel you should let go of before you're saying them. I just kind of regret certain things that I said to her. Then I made her feel really bad after I got out of juvenile. And so I wish those words were never said. And I just kind of told her that it was kind of her neglectance that led to me being like that, and I wish I would have never said that. So it's not, I would ask myself, I think I would just tell myself, you don't need to say that. Because time is precious.
I don't know, thank you for that. I don't know what faith community you come from, if you come from one at all. You're in a Jewish community where we believe that what makes a person doesn't end when their body stops working, and that pride is something that somebody can feel from the other side. And I have to believe that your mother has a great deal of pride in who you've turned out to be in the world.
I hope so. I never got
That's
to
for
see
sure,
it, but
for sure.
I hope so. Thank you.
So I want to, first of all, Merced is phenomenal, and it's always my honor to stand and share a stage with you. I want to bring it back to slichot. I want to bring it back to change. I want to bring it back to faith and to community and to the things that we believe in. I'm going to put this one, I'm going to actually hand this to you just to hold. You don't have to speak because I'm going to. So, what I love about this exercise is that it. Whoa. Okay. I'm just going to read through these cards really quickly because I think one of the things I learned from Merced and from a lot of my students is that we tend to feel so lonely. Everyone, kids that are in lockup, adults that are just feeling no one sees them. Being invisible is something that a lot of us tend to feel. Sometimes hearing people want to change the same things can maybe make us feel less alone. And it's also kind of interesting. So what are things we want to change? Be more grateful. End violence between, okay, this is going to be hard for me. And I'm just going to say end violence between nations. That's a big one. I said something you want to change in yourself. And between human beings. Amen to that. The brain can heal itself. The brain is malleable. I want to remember that I am enough. Don't be shy to make new friends. I love that one. To be a better listener. I will give you a t-shirt. Whoever wrote that, send me an email. You will get one. Listen first, speak second. I knew I liked this community, Adam. Friends. Friends are important. Call friends and family. Yes, call your friends and family. Make the words more real. Amen. Forgive myself. Listen. Boy, I'm going to have to give a lot of t-shirts to this community. Prioritizing, regulating my nervous system. Very important. I want to slow my quickness to anger. Me too. I teach anger management at Homeboy Industries. They would die if they heard me say that. Okay, I'm so sorry. Some of this handwriting is not easy for me to read, so I'm going to do this one afterwards. Get together with friends more. Please get together with friends more. To refine my purpose since retiring on July 1st, 2022. That's important. I would say everybody has to refine their purpose every once in a while. Not react to someone's negativity. Amen. My personal strength. Amen. Lose weight. I am with you, sister, or brother, or whoever. Start my own counseling agency and expand my current work in trauma. Amen. Know my neighbors. I'll be, this is the only problem with this, and this always happens to me. I think, and be able to help empathize with them, could be. Be able to again hug each other without fear of spreading COVID by contact. Amen to that. No snacks after 8 p.m. I think we should. I want to learn to forgive. Ooh. I don't know if this is what it says, but if it doesn't, I'm making it up. To overlook and forgive the arrogance of others. I think it's arrogance, but if it's not, I just made that up. More patience with, look how many patience. Everybody wants patience and less anger. This is like, notice what I'm coming back to that's so important. More patience with others, anger and something of speech. But if it's better speech, that I'm to that. Make a place and make time to follow my and pursue my art. Yes. Okay. Okay, I'm so sorry about the handwriting, so please don't be sad if I did not read yours. I'm going to skip through the ones that I can't read the handwriting. These are a bunch of empty ones. I'm going to skip through the. Okay, this, hold on. That I can't read. That was a marker. So don't be upset if I'm not reading yours. It doesn't mean it doesn't matter. It just means I can't read. Change focus topics down to 3 or less in including work, charitable, be charitable, to ADVOT, and family. Closer relationships with my children. Amen. I have teenagers. I actually don't want to be so close with them these days. Be more sociable. Okay, I think. Be more mindful in speaking to family. Yes. These are really good. Finish my dad's memoir. Amen. As Merced said, we don't have time. Create a closer family. I think we are. Ooh. I'm going to skip the ones that the handwriting is hard for me, and I apologize. COVID is over. Time to become more social with friends again. Lose weight and help my daughter be happier. Hold on. Make more time for leisure. Enjoy life more. I hope you're all learning from these. These are super important. Some of them are just redundant. There's a lot of lose weight. I think, Adam, we need to do like an exercise program at the show. Be more patient. I'm seeing a lot of patient, more exercise routine. Reconnect with friends and loved ones around the community and the world. Recover. I'm going to say that again. Recover. That's beautiful. Okay, we're going to do an exercise and diet routine here. There's a lot of exercise going on here. Desire for exercise. Spend more time with family. Take care of myself so I can take care of others better. Oh gosh, this is amazing. Stop interrupting when others are talking. Forgive, be happier. Amen. Listen better, love deeper. Gosh, I'm gonna send you like 30 shirts. Okay? And procrastination. Enroll and finish school with a degree. I'll do that too. My sadness. Exercise 5 times a week. That's an overachiever. Start 1 time a week. Sincerity. And my impatience. So I heard a lot of exercise, I heard a lot of lose weight, I heard a lot of patience, I heard a lot of listening. And what I know to be true is that we can do all of that. I spend so much time behind walls where kids can't do a lot of things. You have so much freedom to be able to do what you want to do. It's really hard to do that, but make the choice to do it. And I'm going to say what I say all the time. Change is really slow, it's really small, and it's in really tiny moments. This week, we culminated all of our summer programs, and I had the privilege to be in 8 different groups in 4 different lockup facilities, watching the kids read their poetry, use their masks, sing a song. And the last one was at Central Halls with a group of girls, and they wouldn't let us bring pizza, and they wouldn't let us bring the wings, and the probation officers were mad at us, and they usually don't like my team because the girls love us. And it was a very crazy situation. We're like huddled in the middle of this rec room, doing our thing, and puppets and masks. The probation officer, mind you, you're not allowed to bring phones in. The probation on the side says, yeah, for dinner, we're gonna do this and that, and she's like on the phone. And then on the other side, 2 girls are fighting, and all this chaos, but these 5 girls in the middle are reading their poetry, are reading letters to their younger self, are believing that they are worthy, telling us the dreams for their future. And at the end, my facilitator, lovely young woman whose name is Camila, she said, okay, everybody, I'm gonna do a twist on the affirmation, Because as you saw, we're big on saying, I'm amazing, I'm beautiful, I'm worthy. So I want everybody to stand up. And I want you to stretch your arms out like this, like you're Superman. Oh, you know what, everybody, no, that's okay. That's what she said. But I love that you listen to me. Thank you. We can do it. We can do it. So she said, what do we all do? Everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. You can do it. Thank you. Thank you for being the improv. And Camila said to these lovely girls, when you're in court, or you're with your probation officer, or you're with someone who's making you angry, stretch your arms up like this. Just stretch them up. And repeat after me. And I want all of you here today at the temple to repeat after me. I am brave. I am confident. I am worthy. The last one, say again. I am worthy. Last time. I am worthy. All right, and take a seat. So, as we did the I am worthy, we looked around, and one of my facilitators went like this. He said, Naomi, 5 probation officers stretched like this, and they were, I want to be worthy. We have a love-hate relationship with the probation officers. You know, we have to behave and they have to like us. And I really didn't mean to like look at them judgmentally. And I was just, and she's like, what you looking at? I said, nothing. You are so worthy. Let's do it again. And we all raised our hands up and we did the chant again. So it was Friday night. It was yesterday. My kids were like, okay, when's Shabbos? It was like late. One of my facilitators were in rehearsals. There was no camera. There was no heroics. There were 4 facilitators, 3 facilitators myself. There were 5 young women and like 5 or 6 probation officers standing like Superman, saying, I am brave, I am confident, I am worthy. And in that moment, we all felt it. And in that moment, change happened because it's possible. So if you think change is impossible, remember Merced. And if you think all of these things that I read are impossible, think of where this amazing, brilliant human who you saw here saying, I want to be somebody, not famous, but somebody. And Merced, you are so much more than somebody. You're my somebody. And you inspire so many people. So when you think about, I'm sorry that your things are on the floor. When you think that this is impossible, let that be the guiding light. And when you go in a minute to slichot, let go of the anger, let go of the things that you can't forgive others and yourself, because as Merced said, life is very short. And I am going to take a leap of faith here. You are all very privileged every day to get up, to be free, to have means, and that's a lot. And remember that. And be generous. Be generous with your forgiveness, because that's what drives change. So before, I've heard this whole seance, slichot thing is brilliant. I want to share, so as you know, I grew up, how good am I on time? Aren't you impressed? I'm kind of impressed. I also am impressed with this little clock thing action happening over here. I'm gonna recommend that to my rabbi friends, particularly during the sermon. I've never seen that, like right there. It's like, dude, no more than 7 minutes, right? But I mean, Adam, I would listen to 7 hours to his sermons. Because I'm a Hebrew speaker, so our prayers and all of our books, I love reading them. We are so lucky that we come from a tradition of just beautiful, beautiful Torah and language. And so this is a kind of take on the Ashamnu and Bagadnu, on the Ashamnu. We're gonna share. I'm gonna have this. This is a alternative Ashamnu written by a professor of Talmud from Tel Aviv University. So while you are passing it out, I am gonna read the Hebrew. And if anybody wants to join me, you are more than welcome. And then I would like us to read the English together, because I am a believer in gratitude. I am a believer in honesty. And I'm also a believer that no matter what you did, it's okay, as long as you're willing to change it tomorrow. So the way it goes in Hebrew is ahavnu, baninu, gidalnu, da'agnu, hishtadalnu, והצלחנו חלקית. זייפנו, לפעמים חטאנו, טעינו, יצאנו מזה איכשהו. כאבנו, למדנו, מעדנו, ניסינו. סלחנו מעט מדי לעצמנו ולאחרים. עשינו משהו בכל זאת. פרנסנו, צדקנו לעתים רחוקות. קיבלנו הרבה, רצינו הרבה מדי. שמחנו פחות ממה שהיה אפשר וצריך. תודה על הכל. And now let's all read the English together. We loved, we built, we grew, we worried, we tried, we had partial success, we faked it sometimes. We sinned, we made mistakes, we got through somehow. We felt pain, we learned, we tripped, we tried, we forgave far too little, both ourselves and others. We did something anyway. We earned a living, we were right rarely. We received a lot, we wanted too much, we were less happy than we should have been and then was possible. Thank you for everything. Toda rabba, shana tova umetuka. May this be a year of joy, a year of fulfillment, a year of change, and a year of an abundance of love. Toda rabba. Thank you. I know. Can I add one more thing? I just thought of one thing. My late mother, and I say this at my Rosh Hashanah table. There was one year that I broke up with some boyfriend, and I was a mess. And my mom was like, Naomi, on Rosh Hashanah, you have to be happy. You have to surround your people with you love. You have to eat good food, because that's how your year is going to be. However you start the year, that's how your year is going to be. So what a great year this is going to be. Thank you for listening and for being Toda, really, seriously.
Yasher koach to Naomi, and yasher koach to you, Merced. That means may your strength continue and only grow. We are really, really blessed to have learned from both of you this evening, and to be reminded that every one of us needs that first chance, and a second, and a third, and a fourth. That persistence of love is what I'm walking away with most of all. That sense that we stick with each other through the ups and the downs. And that's the only way that we get through. Amen. We are going to take a short break for some dessert, all except for the people who said that that was your resolution not to. Would be a heck of a time to start breaking it now. But for the rest of us, we're going to take the opportunity for some sweets and some conversation, and then we'll get into our circle for our very beautiful Hallelu Slichot this evening. Thank you all so much for being here.
רב שירנו הבוקע לשמיים, שובי שובי אורתנו מחודשת שיבתה.